This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Roberto on this digital sports center presented by Montana's Barbecue and Bar. Game 1 of the Four Nations face-off is in the books, and it was incredible. Our first taste of best on best hockey in 9 years, and we got an absolute thriller in Montreal, with Mitch Marner burying the OT winner to give Canada the win. But the story of the night was Captain Canada himself, Sidney Crosby. And we knew we were in for something special when the night began with this iconic moment. Sid reuniting with his former landlord, Mario Lemieux. The Montreal crowd going absolutely nuts. Chills. And after a week of speculating whether Sid would even be able to play in this event, he answered any questions about his health in the opening minute.
On the ice for this Canada power play, Sidney Crosby admitted, he said, "We have reminded each other that somebody has to shoot the puck." Here's McDavid down to Crosby. They'll go back again. Crosby to the goal line and cross, and they score! McDavid to Crosby to McKinnon, and it's 1-0 Canada.
Goalie jumping, what a play that is by Crosby. We weren't sure a week ago if he was going to be able to play. Made that look easy.
Crosby still getting it done at 37 years old, the oldest player in the tournament, and he picked up 3 assists, including 1 in the OT winner, taking home Player of the Game honors as the crowd chants his name. And that performance just added to his incredible resume with the national team. Canada hasn't lost with Crosby in the lineup since the preliminary round of the 2010 Olympics. That is a 26-game winning streak, during which Sid is averaging over a point per game. This is just a special moment for all Canadians because we all remember Sid as he was in juniors and now just thriving still as a mature man. God damn. Now, it wasn't all sunshine and daisies for the Canadians. Shea Theodore was injured in the win and will miss the rest of the tournament, which means Canada's down to 6 D-men and cannot add another now that the tournament's begun. Meanwhile, the Canadians coughed up a pair of multi-goal leads, so questions still remain about goaltending even though Jordan Binnington made some clutch stops in overtime. So we'll see how both of those storylines play out with a matchup against the Americans coming Saturday. So I know we got excited about the first game, but the second game, well, that's going to be spicy. Speaking of the Americans, tonight is USA versus Finland in Montreal. And if last night's festivities were any indication, pretty clear who's playing the role of villain.
Le capitaine des États-Unis, captain for the United States, Austin Matthews.
He did handle it with grace, I will say that. I thought that maybe he'd love it a little more, but you saw that hard swallow there. I think it hurt him a little bit. And Americans really should embrace the role of villain, because they've got as good a shot as anyone to win the tournament. They enter today as the betting favorites to win the event, and based on how stacked this American roster is, it's pretty easy to see why. Up front, the USA has 3 of the NHL's top 10 point scorers, and that does not include their 3-time Rocket Richard winner, Austin Matthews. And they've also got a ton of Stanley Cup experience, with 4 of their guys having won the Cup already in their careers. And somehow scoring and playoff experience isn't even the strength of this team, as their goaltending is by far the best in the tournament. Team USA goaltender Connor Hellebuyck is near the top of every goaltending stat, and their backup Jake Ottinger is right there with him. So anyone playing the Americans, including Finland tonight, will likely have a tough time putting up goals. But we certainly cannot count out the Finns just yet. Finland's team features a trio of point-per-game players on offense, and a combined 8 Stanley Cup champions, which is double what the Americans have. And this championship experience could prove to be a big factor in a high-stakes tournament like this. Sure, the Finns aren't expected to win tonight's game, as FanDuel has them as a pretty substantial underdog, but if their scorers get hot and they can lean on their championship experience, an upset victory over the Americans is certainly possible. And as a Canadian, I say go Finland, but as a Leafs fan, I want Austin Matthews to score. To the association now, and what a time to be a Canadian basketball fan. Jamal Murray went off last night with 55 points, setting a new Canadian record against the Blazers. It's the second time that record has been broken in the last 4 weeks, because apparently now Canadians drop 50 on Wednesdays. On January 22nd, a Wednesday, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped the Canadian record 54 points. A week later, 52. A week after that, 50. And now we have Murray taking the record back from SGA with 55. That's the 4 highest scoring games in Canadian history in a 22-day span. So is this the best time to be a Canadian NBA fan? For the 11th straight season, Canada is the most represented country in the NBA, aside from the US. We have Canadians breaking records left and right, and the Canadian is the overwhelming favorite to take home the MVP on FanDuel. Which, like, what a time to be alive, you know? And SGA will be front and center this weekend too, as the NBA All-Star festivities get underway in San Fran. And you can catch the All-Star game right here on TSN Sunday. Now, if you are a die-hard Bar Down fan, you might know Dan Dawson from this wholesome speech that he gave to his son's U10 hockey team when we played against them.
This is a bunch of adults over there. You guys are doing great. And the great thing about it is everyone in here is pissed off. And that's a really good quality to have as a competitor and as an athlete. That's fine. But don't take away from the experience of what this is. This is an experience that we get to be on some cool things on TSN. Enjoy the next period, guys. You don't get a lot of opportunities like this in your life.
But lacrosse fans know him from his legendary career in the National Lacrosse League. And after 22 years in the NLL, he has some tales to tell. Which brings us to another edition of Rissers Watching Our Stories. And according to Dan's brother Paul, it turns out Dan is also a legendary prankster, and you know I love pranks.
When he was living in Arizona, he lived with this guy, Noah Talbot, from Victoria, nicknamed Suker because he's from Souk, BC, but hilarious guy. So they had a appearance at like high school, maybe championship game, whatever. Suker's sleeping. My brother comes in. He's just like, I gotta get this guy. Draws the unibrow on him while he's sleeping. Permanent marker unibrows him. So walks out, and then the girl from the team's coming to pick them up. So my brother's like, hey, like I gotta go wake up Suker, but don't say anything, but I'm gonna rush him out so he doesn't have time to like look in the mirror, like I'm gonna tell him he like slept in. So she's like, okay. She's like, what are you talking about? He's like, just don't look at him, like don't say anything. She's like, okay, fine. So he comes in, hey, Suker, we gotta go, man. We're late. We gotta go to this game. So he gets up. They jump in. Boom. Doesn't look at the mirror. They're in there. So they go to like drop the ball or do something. Newspapers. Boom. They're on the front page of like the sports. And Suker's got a full unibrow. So then it like comes out. And Bob Hamley was the GM and like coach at the time, calls my brother right away, like, what the hell's going on? Why is Suker got a unibrow on?
It's fine. He's got a taste of being Italian for a little while. What's the big deal? That's it for me today. We'll see you back tomorrow at 3 Eastern, no Pacific. Have a good one.